Folks, we have fans all over the world. In the year 2007, the spring of 2007, I was invited to attend the 3rd China International Cartoon and Animation Festival, or as we like to abbreviate it, CICAF. This was located in a place called Hangzhou, China, which is the animation capital of China. Hangzhou is about 2 hours west of Shanghai. So think it would be the equivalent of roughly from LA to San Diego, distance-wise. And I was invited there to do the first ever Robotech panel, the official Robotech panel at the conference. But folks, this was unlike any show I have ever done. And folks, I have done hundreds of them over the years. And when you see in the photos I'm going to show you, you're going to see it's unlike anything you have ever seen. So, fasten your seatbelts, hold all of your questions until the end, and prepare for your trip, because our journey begins somewhere over the Bering Strait on a 14-hour flight in the back of a 747. This was my view as the last seat on the 747, which, by the way, was the best seat in the house, folks, and I'll tell you why. Because while people were paying $10,000 for first class, I could actually stand up and lean on my chair like this, because I was the last seat in the house, so it was very, very nice. But this was my view for 14 hours. My trip takes me from Los Angeles International Airport to the Hong Kong International Airport, where I'm going to board a small jet for the 2-hour flight to Hangzhou. The total trip time took about 21 hours.
Wow.
Now, when I landed in Hangzhou, I was greeted by Miss Chen Lu, CEO of Gundahong Kiahe Audio Video, or was we like to abbreviate it GDQH, since we can't pronounce the name. Trust me, even I asked her, how do you pronounce it? And she's just like, just abbreviate it. And Miss Chen was there, and she picked me up at the airport, and I was also greeted, she also brought along a translator. Her name was Bella. Now, we're driving in from the airport to the hotel, and Bella's here, and Bella's like trying to get to know me. She's asking me all these questions, and she goes, well Mr. Kevin, I'm so surprised. You have so much energy for such a long trip. I thought you would be tired. I said, well, Bella, I want to be perky for you. And she goes, perky, yeah. She comes up this and goes, beep, 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 beep. I go, Bella, what are you doing? She goes, oh, this is a little translator device. This will translate what perky means. I go, no, and I explain, perky will mean, excited, energetic. She goes, oh, okay. Later on during the convention, I go to Bella, I go, okay, Bella, let's go down to the dealer floor and let's go schmooze. And Bella's like, schmooze, yeah, okay. And I go, Bella, if you're smoozing your translator device, I'm going to buy one. And I had to explain, actually, I showed her what schmoozing was. So we're driving along into the airport, from the airport to the hotel. As you can see, they drive on our side of the road as well. And we come in, I stayed at the Hyatt. Now, Hangzhou, and this hotel, is located on what's called the West Lake, or as they call it, the Zihu. Okay? And when I arrived, it was draped in this beautiful mist and fog and clouds. And folks, you might notice all of these chairs here. Later on in the presentation, I'll show you they do a big water fountain show like the Bellagio in Las Vegas. Later on during the day, they'll do water fountain shows. And here's another shot of the lake. And you might notice there's like a little tower right here. That is one of the pagodas that surround the circumference of the lake. So now, we're getting ready to go to the actual convention. And I'm at this very busy intersection waiting for the car to take us to the convention center. And I noticed this sign over here. It's right up here, this pink sign. And this is a billboard for the convention. And I went, wow, these guys went all out. They blew their entire marketing budget on this one billboard at this really, really busy intersection. But if you turn to your left, you see this. Whoa. This is a 15-foot tall statue of the golden monkey, which is the convention's mascot. This is a metallic statue. It's a little, you can't quite see it, but they actually dig it in, put the cement base down in there, put the statue up, and then when the convention's done, they take it down. These were at every major intersection in the city. There were well over 100. Okay? So we're starting to drive along and began to notice, my God, there's yet another billboard for this convention. These guys are good. They already have 2 billboards and a statue. I'm like, they really went all out for this show. So we're driving it on the freeway, and I look up at the building. What do I see? Yet even more billboards for the convention. This is like in LA. We see like the big billboards on the freeways, like the 405.
Right, yeah.
Same thing here. We hit the surface streets. Yeah. Now, folks, so here's the billboard. The blue billboard here is for the convention. Now, here's like this little, in the median, this little sort of like wooden little figurine of the golden monkey. On every major street, every 200 feet, there were these. There were thousands.
Wow,
I'm not
really?
kidding, folks. Thousands of them, okay? So now we arrive at the convention center, and I'm walking along. This is the first shot view of the convention center that I have. And I stop, and it's like enormous. And Bella walks like 5 steps ahead of me, not realizing this. She turns around and goes, "Mr. Kevin, what's wrong?" I go, "Bella, that convention center is enormous." She goes, "Oh, it's just our convention center. We had to build a bigger one because our old one was too small." But she goes, "I'm sure this is probably not anywhere near as big as yours in America." Yeah, oh, trust me, it gets better. We're on the other side of the street, so we approach. We cross the street. They have a big parking lot in front of the main entrance of the convention center. The convention center, think of a big U, okay? And this is the center of the U. And now here's this huge, enormous parking lot filled with cars, okay? But then as I'm walking through the parking lot, over to my right, I see they're firing up hot air balloons. So I'm like, wow. And Bella explained to me, "Oh, Mr. Kevin, every day they fire up these hot air balloons and they fly around the city to let everybody know the convention's going to go on. It's like having the Goodyear blimp promoting Anime Expo. Give you the US equivalent. They do this every day of the convention for 8 days.
Wow.
Now, this is the stage for opening ceremonies. Now you're saying, we haven't gone into the convention center yet, folks. We're still outside in the parking lot. This is right past the balloons. Now you're all saying, "Kev, wait a minute. Opening ceremonies outside? Why do they do that?" Well, the convention is so large. It is so filled with dealers and exhibits and stuff. They have to have their opening ceremonies outside of the convention center. Now, you go on the other side of the stage. You go right around the stage, and this is what you see, which is the main entrance to the convention center. Now, we haven't entered the convention center yet, but this will give you sort of a better sense of the scale, how enormous this building is. Now, we go up the steps, and this is the view of what we see. Here's the hot air balloons. Now, down here is the little ticket tent, and there's a little funny story later on for that. Now, you come back up. This is the main checkpoint into the actual convention center itself. All right. Now, when you go through the checkpoint and you walk into the convention center, this is what you see. Now, this looks like a normal thing. I mean, we've all been to the LA Convention Center. We've all seen the big atriums they have here. But this, folks, is a bit different. This whole sort of structure back here with the big LED screen, this was built specifically for the convention. They tear it down and then leave it like an empty shell, along with the sculpture in front. And then they rebuild it every year. Yeah. And just so you know, what it's saying here, it's listing all the major events for the day on the screen. And other times they'll run actual animation from the various Chinese animation studios there. So now this is inside the convention center. And this is sort of an interesting shot because, as you can see, it's not like the LA Convention Center where there's a lot of artificial lighting. You might notice the artificial lighting actually is very, very weak, and they have these huge floor-to-ceiling windows to let the sunlight in. They can't have the conventions. The convention does not go on during the night like we do here. So when the sun goes down, it actually gets quite dark inside the convention center. Now, I must point out something. It's tough to see, but there's no heating and there's no air conditioning. It's just an empty shell. So if it's 95 degrees outside,
right?
Okay. And when do you see the crowd that shows up? All right. Just keep that in the back of your mind.
Okay.
All right?
I got it.
So now here's the Robotech booth here in Hangzhou. This is GDQH's Robotech booth, and we made the announcement at the convention that GDQH acquired the rights to Robotech: The Shadow Chronicles. But one of the interesting things about GDQH is the fact that they don't have the rights just to Robotech. They also have the rights to Transformers. So it's one of the rare times where Robotech and Transformers actually are not in competition with each other. Now, when this happened, the live-action movie had not come out yet. So they were prepping for the big run-up to the live-action movie. And, they had Robotech on one side and Transformers on the other. And here's Miss Chen and I, we're getting all ready to go. Now, you might notice we're all dressed up in suits and ties, and she's all dressed up too. Well, the reason why we're all dressed up is because this is the Industry Day. And Industry Day is where they bring in all the press, and each company showcases what their company is going to do. And it sort of became a little bit of a funny, interesting story was because Well, other people get up there, and a lot of these presentations are really technical and business-like. In Q1, we increased our revenue by 54%, blah, blah, blah. Ms. Chen gets up there and goes, well,